Hello there. Today is a part two thought sharing experience about the topic of spiritual compatibility. And I'm just going to share this quickly to my group. What I spoke about last time I spoke about spiritual compatibility was three layers or levels, so to speak, or three phases of my own perception about spiritual compatibility. Sorry, I'm looking off to the side here. I'm almost set. Okay, yeah. So the first layer of understanding that I had about spiritual compatibility was about, it was an idea I had about sharing compatible beliefs or ideas so that the man that I was with, I could carry on a conversation with about these things that I was thinking about and working through. And then the next layer was more in the feeling than in the thinking and the concepts. It was more like being able to flow together in a way that makes sense and to relate on a feeling level. I'm going to go deeper into that. And then the third aha that I got about spiritual compatibility was, is your partner someone who naturally, who knows their purpose in their own relationship to the divine, and that them walking in their purpose leads them to walk next to you as in the direction you're walking in your purpose, so that the spiritual compatibility from a completely different angle, if the word spiritual actually encapsulates that you are answering the call of why you came to this planet and what you're here to do in service to the expression of yourself as the divine. And then what's the compatibility between you and your partner in that, through that lens, because relationship can be a significant distraction if compatibility in that domain is not present. So I wanted to go a little further in a certain direction, exploring spiritual compatibility, because I had an unexpected experience myself, which was that 5 years ago, I met a man who told me that when I asked him, I don't know, I was playing around asking a question of a few different people. And the question was, what are your spiritual goals? And he said, I have none. And we were already, exploring feelings of attraction at that point. And so I objected to his answer, which is so funny. How do you object to somebody's answer? You ask them a question, they give you an honest answer, and then I'm like, I don't agree with you. But that was his honest answer. But the reason I didn't agree with him was because I felt the goodness in him. I felt his dedication to being a good person and his desire to see goodness and love and peace to reign in the world. And so that's what made me feel like that he was answering on semantics, and that what really mattered to me, that I was trying to explore with that question, was actually present in him, even though he said that it wasn't. And as I got to know him more, I got to find out more and more what really matters when it comes to spiritual compatibility. Because that's a big question for me, because in case you haven't noticed, I'm very spiritually driven, but that doesn't mean that I talk a lot about spiritual beliefs or new agey things. I actually don't like talking about new agey things at all. I find it glitzy, and they're like identification traps. that you could get identified with various New Age modalities. You could get identified with even certainly religious modalities, if I could put them in the same category. A lot of people believe that the Word of God is the Bible. I do not believe that the Bible is the Word of God. I understand the Word of God to be a living expression that I must experience for myself in energetic intimacy with the divine. So the words on a page may have been written by somebody from that experience that they were having at the time that they wrote it, but the words on the page themselves are not that living experience. So there's all kinds of identification traps out there. And identification, the idea that it's like, what is identification? I want to define that for you. Identification is where something that you're thinking about, you develop an attachment to how you feel about yourself in your relationship to that idea. So that idea becomes part of your identity. So for instance, I could be, I grew up in Woodstock, New York. So Woodstock, New York is like one of the New Age capitals of the world. And I don't want to diss anybody's modality, because you can absolutely have experiences that are teaching you something deeper about yourself, right? So I'm going to use crystals as an example. I was really fascinated with crystals when I was young, and I liked them because they were beautiful and kind of from a science point of view. But my sister ended up getting into crystals from more of I'm going to say New Age. I'm probably going to use all the wrong words, right? But more of a New Age perspective. In other words, the crystal, what's the stone made of? What's the vibration of the stone? What can you use the vibrations for? And so an example of identification would be if you feel like crystals are part of your identity, like you're into crystals and you talk about crystals, and like when you introduce yourself at a party, you're like, yeah, I'm into crystals. Like, that's different than reading the flow of the moment and speaking from the energetic awareness of being the flow of the moment. Now, I'm just going to stop and say that my sister does feel the energy of different kinds of crystals. So I know that she has a real experience that goes along with that whole thing. I myself am not attracted to it, but I recognize that she's not just identifying, that she does actually connect with something in the realm of energy. So getting back to partnership with a person, what really matters? Like, I think that I had a comfort level around being able to talk about the things that I do, the language that I do use to try to understand, or I was using to try to understand how to be connected with love. But I found in this discovery with this lovely man who I'm still in a wonderful relationship with, that it was the unspoken things that actually mattered. And he actually has really deep intuitive sensitivity. And he does have what I talked about before, that desire for goodness. He has the desire to walk as an example of goodness, in the energy of goodness, to exemplify love. He has the desire to treat other people in a way that promotes goodness and love. And he has this intuitive sensitivity. So at the conceptual level, different spiritual texts will go over different concepts. But what really matters is what's going on where the rubber hits the road. What is the practical application? Someone could be identified with and wearing beautiful concepts as garments, but what is their behavior like? What's their sensitivity like when you interact with them, and when what they're creating in their life? those are the things that matter. Like when you turn the volume all the way down, so you don't hear the words, but you just see the actions and you just feel the energy. What is somebody doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What is your partner doing? That's where the rubber hits the road. And so I found I very rarely have a discussion of a spiritual topic with my sweetheart of 5 years now, but I feel a deeper connection with him that really works in this pocket of authenticity where all the spiritual fruits actually happen. um, he and I can flow together, and we learn together. I mean, I introduced to him this concept, so to speak, not really concept, approach, this approach to being together that's really flow based. It's not about I need, and so therefore let's do. And it's not about this is how romance works, so let's do the romance thing now. It's really about being present and feeling the energy. And he fell in love with this way of being, and I think it was not so foreign to him, but it was not consciously discovered until we shared this together. And that's where the rubber hits the road, in that place of feeling balanced in yourself, feeling energy, feeling the ability to have the sensitivity to feel what feels right in each moment and flow, the sensitivity to feel the energy of your partner, the energy of yourself, the energy of inspiration. Like, this is the toolbox of how we go deeper in harmony with each other and balance inside ourselves and partnership with the spiritual presence of love that it is our birthright to connect to in the core of our being. So concepts can get in the way of that if they're fancier than what's needed to actually focus us on that. Now, sometimes spiritual concepts of different kinds, and maybe it even be crystals or whatever the modality is, can help someone to focus and to recognize and identify that skill set of connecting with self and feeling energy and feeling the other person. So in that way, they can be helpful, but they can just as easily become distractions, become objects in the way of vision, and garments that dress up the self-image or the idea, the experience of self as a distraction. Instead of, they take the place of this really deep skill set of just of feeling energy. It really comes down to feeling energy, but you can only make healing sense of feeling energy when you know not just how to feel energy in the world, energy of your partner, energy of yourself and how you're feeling, but that you also know how to feel the energy of love inside you, because that's what gives you the anchor point. It gives you your mooring, your rock to stand on. And we all need a rock to stand on. That's where identification comes in, is when people don't have a foundational mooring by an inner relationship with love that they can feel, then they need to moor themselves or anchor themselves into other things. And so that's where people anchor themselves into whatever it is they want to identify with, whether that's the Bible or crystals or hiking or bonsai or working in corporate or whatever it is that people do that they then anchor their sense of self into. So, So what's really, really cool is that, like, I feel like my heart mission, which is to bring the skill set, the awareness and the skill set of how to connect with love inside to as many people as I can reach. And particularly, there's so much fruit and fun doing this in the arena of relationship, because the feedback loop is really fast and we can have such amazing results of rewarding results of harmony and connection with our partner when we apply this approach that I have learned to apply myself, and have found ways to help people um, dawn for themselves, implement quickly through exercises. So it's not really about concepts, right? It's about, in other words, the way that I empower people to connect with divine love inside themselves as the basis of how they come to relationship and create harmony and deep connection in their relationship really, really fast is not by teaching concepts, but actually by giving people exercises that they can feel so they can get into that energy sensitivity. Because that's where all the magic happens. And that's one of the things that I learned over the last few years with my sweetie, because, like I said, we hardly ever talk about spiritual matters. However, our approach to each other is a spiritual matter in and of itself, because we choose to show up present and authentic and feeling energy. And that requires feeling connection. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love relationships so much because you can feel each other energetically and yourself energetically, and the sweet spot where you have harmony with each other is this place where you are balanced in yourself. And this place where you're balancing yourself is this sweet spot where you have harmony with each other. It's such a beautiful relationship. And anyway, so the broad point that I'm wanting to share today is that where the rubber hits the road in spiritual compatibility is in the domain where the rubber hits the road in spiritual growth, personal spiritual growth. It's not in what you think about or what you talk about. It's not in any of the wisdom modalities that are out there of any kind. It's really in your ability to feel and to sort through what you feel so that you can find that place of balance and flow where you can flow together with your partner. And that's specifically what I help people with. I'm super passionate about it. It's super fun. And because that's where the rubber hits the road, the way that I help people is through exercises that don't have anything to do with words. It's not really about any particular religion, or, I mean, anything's a religion, you know. I am actually exploring the world of monitoring glucose continuously, meaning I'm wearing a continuous glucose monitor. And I'm using the Levels app, and the app itself marks danger zone. You're having a glucose spike if it goes up a certain amount. And then I listened to somebody else on YouTube, and he was like, that's not right. If it goes up twice as much, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And hearing both perspectives, I was like, oh, okay, that's right. This is all new territory for me, but I am still listening to people's theories. The truth, no one there necessarily has the truth. I have to find what the truth is. But in other words, Levels has their religion about what constitutes a glucose spike, a bad glucose spike. And this other guy has his religion about what constitutes a bad or not bad glucose spike. And just because somebody subscribes to an idea doesn't mean that there's truth in that idea. And in fact, the river where the energy of truth flows is not in the realm of ideas. It's in this realm of feeling that I'm keep trying to point to in what I'm talking about today. So, but what's so complicated is that the river of feeling inside us gets filled up with the way we feel emotionally as well, not just sensing energy. So it can be really tough to sort out. And the way we feel emotionally, it plugs very much into what we believe subconsciously. So it's quite an art form to find that space of clarity and connection to feeling in yourself that unlocks harmony with yourself and really fun, fresh harmony with your partner. That's one thing that my sweetie and I remarked on recently, that after 5 years, our relationship still feels fresh. That's pretty great. That's all because we're living in the feeling zone. So that's what I wanted to kind of like step on my soapbox about today. I hope you found that interesting. What are you working on right now in the realm of feeling, or what are you finding matters to you in compatibility and relationship? Either one of those questions. I'd love if you would share any of your thoughts. Okay, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.